Powered by FantasyGuru.com. Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. Pacific. Ray Flowers breaks it all down for you from a fantasy sports perspective. Welcome, everyone, to Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by FantasyGuru.com. I'm your host, Ray Flowers. Hope you're doing well today. Hope things are in your neck of the woods, as they say, are going smoothly. And hopefully you're looking forward to a good, hour-ish of fun today. I'm Ray Flowers of FantasyGuru.com. I host the show Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Wednesdays is Justin Fensterman's turn, so he'll be in here tomorrow. Why am I not here Wednesdays? Because on Wednesdays, I'm with Jeff Mans on the Elite Sports Show. Jeff's show is back to being his normal time. He's back from vacation. He returned yesterday. So the Elite Sports Show is from now 3 to 6 Eastern, Monday through Friday on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio. So we're here at 12 o'clock, 3 to 6. You go over to SiriusXM, listen to Jeff's show. Wednesdays, I'm with Jeff. And then Monday through Friday, Justin Fensterman and I host the Elite Sports Game Time Show from 8 to 10 Eastern. So 3 shows a day for you to get your love in the fantasy space. EIEIO says, where's your cool backdrop? I don't know, EIEO. Technology, at least we got the green screen, so I'm smooth. But yeah, I tried to get it going. Didn't want to delay the show. I don't know, man. I don't know. At least we're here. At least you can hear me, I hope. But yeah, we'll have the cool screen back tomorrow. Today you just get green and green. So sorry about that. For those of you wondering what we're talking about, you can watch the show on demand or live at 3 different places. Elite Sports is the name of the show on YouTube. YouTube.com/EliteSports. Facebook.com/FantasyGuruHQ. Twitter X @FantasyGuruSite. All 3 of those places you can leave comments. If you're watching live, you can always watch the show on demand at any point you want. EIEA also says, by the way, here's an example. Devin Williams has the job. He's available in my 10-team league. Do you trust him? I don't know if Devin Williams has the job, unless that announcement came down the last 15 minutes and I missed it while I was doing other things. Here it is. Yes, you're right. He does have the job. Aaron Boone said that Devin Williams, 21 minutes ago, will do most of the closing. Do I trust him? No, I don't trust him. But I'm picking him up, even in the 10-team league. We're here in 4 to 6 weeks for Luke Weaver. It was going to be on the list today. Let's just talk about it now. What the hell? I'll throw it up on the screen, too, about what we're going to talk about here. There's the show plan for those of you looking on the screen. Luke Weaver is expected to miss 4 to 6 weeks with the hamstring injury. As a result of that hamstring injury, it is being announced by Aaron Boone, the manager of the team, that Devin Williams is going to get the majority of those options. Obviously, he was brought in to be the closer. It's kind of gone underreported because he was so bad to start the year. But his last 10 innings, he's got 15 strikeouts and 2 walks. So, yeah, I mean, do I trust him as much as I trust most relievers? And you know how this goes. But the bottom line is if it's 4 to 6 weeks for Weaver for the hamstring, Devin Williams could take this job and never look back. Again, he was brought in to be the closer anyway. So, yeah, I think that obviously in all leagues, Devin Williams should be added, even in 10-teamers. Let's pick him up and hope he keeps rocking and rolling here. He's got a chance to run with the job the rest of the season because of that injury to Luke Weaver. For those of you, again, wondering what we're talking about, again, remember you can watch us in those 3 places. Leave comments, questions. Facebook.com/FantasyGuruHQ. Twitter X @FantasyGuruSite, and on YouTube at YouTube.com/@ElitePlusNetwork. We'll talk baseball here for about the next 25 or so minutes, and then we'll visit with Armando Marsal. We'll talk some football with him. The draft guide dropped over at FantasyGuru.com. Were you aware of this? Did you know? You should know, right? Because we talked about it here on the show. It's all over social media. It's the place to be. It's the bee's knees, folks. Get over to FantasyGuru.com. Click that subscribe tab in the top right corner of the page. You can always send a note to support@FantasyGuru.com, support@FantasyGuru.com, and get signed up with us. As you can see there, we've got rankings, projections, PPR, non-PPR, rookies, IDP, Dynasty, Best Ball, Auction, printable, downloadable cheat sheets. We've got a lot of stuff over there at FantasyGuru.com. We'll talk to Armando Marsal here in about 25 minutes about some of his contributions. And realize that, again, this is a growing, evolving draft guide over at FantasyGuru.com. If you purchase it, you get it throughout the entire regular season. It's not just preseason. You get the whole season. You can also get signed up here and get the DFS package if you want. Get the wagering package if you want. You can get all 3 packages if you like. Get the all-in, get everything we do for football. It's a very robust, very unique product that I hope you all avail yourselves of. And, of course, the baseball product is available right now. One low price. Click the subscribe tab in the top right corner. Get the baseball product, and you get everything we do in baseball. We went 2 or 3 on bets last night. I had my raised plays up. posted the Solds rankings. Obviously, if you sign up for the baseball product and get everything, that means you get all the articles, all the rankings that are updated on the first of the month. For seasonal, the DFS, everyday articles on that. The wagering, you get access to all of that because we're selling it all as one package. So click that subscribe tab in the top right corner. And by the way, just another reminder, still seeing some people. We've got a tech issue that we're working through. I apologize for it. I talked about it on the show yesterday. The rankings were updated on June 1st. They are not currently showing up on the rankings page. Go to fantasyguru.com. They're on the scroll the way down to the bottom of the homepage and find it. Look for the fireworks. It's June rankings update. You can also just go to the MLB articles section at fantasyguru.com. You can find the rankings which were updated on June 1st as expected, as promised. You can download the Excel sheet straight to your computer. And we also had, again, the Solds rankings went up live yesterday at fantasyguru.com. All right, let's get into it, folks. EIEO, he's missing the green monster. We'll have the green monster back tomorrow. Don't worry. We got green behind me. It's kind of the green monster. Kind of. All right, let's talk some baseball before we dive into the world of football here. Let's a little note here, by the way. By the way, Jazz Chisholm's going to be in the lineup today. He's returning from the oblique injury today, Jazz Chisholm. So if you got him rocking and rolling, Jason Dominguez will not be in the lineup. His thumb is still bothering him. So there you go. I'm just scrolling through here. All right, so there we go. All right, let's dive on in here. What are we talking about today? Let's pull up the old notes. You see it there on the screen. Ronny Mauricio is coming to the show, and this is, I think, quicker. I read a bunch of stuff on him over the weekend, actually. This is quicker than the Mets wanted to do this. The issue they have is Mark Vientos had a hamstring injury that he picked up last night, and according to the manager, Mr. Mendoza, it did not look good. So sounds like obviously Vientos is going to the injury list, and we'll see how long that might be. Mauricio's only played 9 games coming back from his knee injury. He is about as hot as you possibly can be, sitting over 500. The issue is they're being very cautious with him. So the numbers are spectacular down on the farm. Ray, call him up. What's the problem with calling him up? The problem is I don't think he's played back-to-back days yet. So, he missed the season. He missed all this time with the knee injury. Then he gets back. He's not playing back-to-back days. He's not playing 9 innings in back-to-back days. Like, he gets called up here, and he's a prospect that we're going to want to add in most leagues. But, he's just not going to be able to play on a daily basis. So does this mean Brett Beatty takes over at third and Mauricio kind of works in? I think that's probably how it's going to be short term. Let's hope it doesn't turn into a Jordan Lawler situation. The difference being here with the Mets that it is noted, Vientos has an injury, so there should be an opportunity. He is, Mauricio, a guy that won't steal a base, but he's got a huge power bat. And as we noted here, he's blistering the baseball. So he's probably going to be on the wrong side of that platoon with Beatty. I would estimate that Beatty plays most days against righties and Mauricio plays against lefties. So we'll see, but keep an eye on what we hear here. Again, if you want to add him now in hope, you can, but he's probably on the short side of the platoon here to start things off, Mauricio. So keep those expectations in check in short order. Parker Meadows returned, tripled, doubled, walked twice, stole a base, scored 3 times. Boom, on that season debut. We've been talking about Meadows for a couple of weeks now here on the show. So hopefully you've already added him. If you want to run to the waiver wire and see if he's still there and try, good luck after last night. But hopefully you added him previously. The big news here, I think, is that he did return to the leadoff spot. So this dropped Kerry Carpenter, we'll talk about in a bit, down to the 3rd spot. Now they've got the lineup starting to really take shape. When Perez is back, he had a nice game last night. This is also a concern for Perez long-term in terms of his availability in the lineup. It's a concern for Javier Baez, who started to slow predictably offensively. Matt Vierling is working his way back too. So guys like Perez and Baez, especially the case of Baez, who I know a lot of you have been utilizing to this point, got to be making other plans. We've been talking about this for weeks now. Hopefully you've made those other plans because Baez's bat is slowing and his spot in the daily lineup is starting to evaporate. Kristian Yelich had another home run last night. And he is such a fascinating player. We've talked about him here on the show. And, you want to hate Kristian Yelich. And Kristian Yelich was hitting 180 3 weeks ago. Like, what was he hitting? Like, I'm making that number up, but it was not good. The last 2 weeks, he's hitting 367 with 6 home runs and 14 RBIs in 12 games. The last week, he's got 4 home runs, 10 RBIs, hitting 458. And he's on pace to go almost 30-30. He's on pace to go 30-25 all of a sudden. And this is why we talk about all the time on the show and articles and Discord over at fantasyguru.com. That's why we talk all the time about being patient with veterans, right? You can have that quick trigger with the youngsters, right? But with the veterans like Yelich, provided he's healthy, he's going to play every day and he's going to be productive. Batting average is still only 233. The OPS is still only 750. So he's not been great. But 30-25 with 85 runs scored and 100 RBIs, even if he hits 233, we're taking that. So the batting average should improve as we move forward. It's great to see him starting to lift the baseball because that was something we talked about here on the show. Just wasn't lifting the ball in the air. Kristian Campbell, we've talked about here as well. He started out good. Started out well, I should say, if I know how to speak. His April was good. His May was horrendous. One of the worst full-time players in baseball in May. There were rumors about him, picking up the first base glove and trying to figure that out. Well, now don't worry, Red Sox fans. Romy Gonzalez is back off the injury list, so the problem is solved. The Red Sox are going to go with Romy Gonzalez and Abraham Toro, and that ain't good. Now, again, Toro's been really good since he joined this team, and Gonzalez, to be fair, has been good too. That's not an answer. It's just you're not making the playoffs with that duo as your first baseman. You're just not, especially when you look at some of the other concerns the Red Sox have offensively. But the upshot is that Campbell's not going to play first base, at least in the short term. That's a negative because it would have been great to have the ability to play him at first base this year or obviously next season. The bigger concern with Campbell is he's got to start hitting because there are guys, it's one of those things. You've got a ton of options left over. Are guys like Gonzalez and Toro long-term answers for the Red Sox? No, not even close. But if they're producing, so Campbell's got to start hitting or he's not going to find himself in the lineup on a consistent basis. So we'll see. He's got to pick it up soon here. Yoan Moncada, we talked about Moncada yesterday, right? Because we were going through the FAB. Every Monday here on the show, I go over the FAB for Labor, Tout Wars, and the FSGA drafts, 3 expert leagues I'm in. And a couple of the leagues, Moncada got added, or at least one of the leagues, and I said, who cares? He's going to get hurt anyway. Well, he was placed on the injured list yesterday. So most hilarious thing, one of the most hilarious things in all of baseball in 2025. Angels have on their roster, their 40-man, right? Anthony Rendon. And to replace him, they signed Yoan Moncada. Couldn't have made it up. 2 most injury-prone third basemen in baseball. You've got one of them. Might as well get the other one. You do you, Angels. You do you. For now, we're probably going to see Luis Rengifo play third most of the time. Maybe Scott Kingery, who's been promoted. Scott Kingery at one point in time was power speed. It's been a long time. Kudos to Scott Kingery for sticking with it because he could have obviously gone on and done something else with his life. But here we go. Angels trying to figure it out at third base. Hopefully Rengifo will start hitting because he has been really bad this season. I mentioned I picked him up in my Dynasty League. He was let go in my Dynasty League. So I don't know if I mentioned that yesterday. Maybe I didn't. He was let go in my Dynasty League and I picked him up yesterday or Sunday night. So we'll see if he can get it going. Ellie De La Cruz is going to go on the bereavement list after tomorrow's game. If you didn't hear it, this is just an FYI. His sister passed away. So he's going to play today. Play tomorrow, according to expectations, and then probably miss the second half of the week. So if you've got Ellie De La Cruz, start making other plans for the next couple of days. We obviously wish him and his family well. Chris D says, how patient should we be with Luis Robert? Depends on your setup. Are you in a deeper league? Do you start 1 outfielder, 3 outfielders, 5 outfielders? Are you a roto league? Are you a head-to-head league? How desperate are you for steals? That kind of stuff. Luis Robert has to be on somebody's team. Has to be. Even if it's a 10-team league, he's got to be on somebody's team. Because, again, he's running at least, and he does have power. And there's always the hope that he will get traded. If he gets traded, and then there's going to be all kinds of excitement. And maybe it'll spur him on too, right? I don't know. But, yeah, Luis Robert's got to be held. Can't be let go. Kyle says, hoping Cal's is activated. Hopefully he can provide a spark for the O's offense. Let's hope. They also called up Norby. Let's hope he can provide a spark. We talked about Norby on the show yesterday in particular. But, yeah, Calzer is a big part of this offense. And as we've discussed, all those guys we talked about, the Orioles yesterday, they got 5 of their starters on the injured list. Well, now 4. It's a big loss for that team. It's one of the main reasons they've struggled. Brandon A says, just seeing your rankings for June for the first time. And whoa, Michael Harris has fallen so hard. He needs life alert in case someone needs some help. Michael Harris, it's interesting with Michael Harris. He's been a really disappointing player. And, kind of goes back to last year, too. Michael Harris is 24 years old. which is still really young. Even last year with his struggles, he still had 16 home runs, 10 steals, which is down. It's 110 games played. He's just not hitting. And, we've talked about him on the show a lot. I mean, he's got a 263 on base percentage. That should be his batting average. He's got a 338 slugging percentage. That should be his on base percentage. His isolated power mark is barely 100. The launch angle's down. The exit velocity's down. The barrel rate's down. The hard hit rate's down. Like, he needs to get going. And there is hope, as we have discussed here the last 2 weeks, that the return of Acuna will help everybody in this lineup. We got the news yesterday that there's a hip issue that Marcell Ozuna is dealing with, and he's going to be having to manage it all season long until likely off-season surgery. So the Braves, Michael Harris is still a potential star, and there will definitely be a period of time where Michael Harris kills it. No doubt about that. We'll just see if he kills it long enough to have that 2020 type of season that we were expecting. Yeah. I answered this question directly. Rewind if you miss it. I answered this question the first time you posted it about Devin Williams. Okay. Joe Adell hit 2 home runs yesterday. Joe Adell's fascinating figure. We talked about him a little bit last night on Game Time. Again, that's 8 to 10 Eastern on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio. I don't know with Adell. I think Adell needs to be dealt. I don't know if he's going to be dealt. I think he needs some new voices in his ear and all that. He's hitting 215 with a 700 OPS and 1 steal. Who cares? To be fair, he is hitting 368 with 3 home runs the last week. And I think I saw somewhere he was like 9 for 21 or something like that. 9 for something like that. Anyway, his strikeout rate is down, and there's legit power there. And he hit 2 home runs last night. He can be a streaky player, but with the lack of consistency, it's just, you can pick him up and hope he hits 3 home runs the next 2 weeks kind of thing. But I haven't seen any growth other than the cutting down of the strikeouts, which is absolutely intriguing, but it has not been accompanied by anything else. And if he's hitting 240 in a good case, right, with 28 home runs, and he's only stealing 6 bases, we're not getting much out of him anyway. So just a note, he's getting hot. He had a couple of home runs last night, but not really buying into that very much. Kerry Carpenter hit 3 home runs last night. Pretty good night. And, Kerry Carpenter, he's a pretty good baseball player. We were talking about him as well because this is obviously happening live as we're doing the show last night. And it was very interesting, as I mentioned earlier, Parker Meadows returned to the leadoff spot, so they dropped Kerry Carpenter down to third. Carpenter probably should be hitting third instead of leadoff, probably. But that does cause an issue now with 2 lefties back-to-back with Carpenter and Green if they keep the order 3-4 there with those 2 guys, so they can be pitched to a little bit. But all of a sudden, the numbers are sparkling yet again for Kerry Carpenter, and Carpenter's going to sit against some lefties. He's going to be removed late in games against some lefties. But as we discussed, Justin and I last night, Kerry Carpenter is an all-star against right-handed pitching, period. His career numbers against righties say all-star. His performance this year against righties say all-star. He hit the 3 home runs last night. He's got batting average up 276. The OPS is 822. He's just a very good hitter. He's not going to steal bases. Again, he's not going to play every day. But if he's hitting third instead of first, it does increase his outlook in the runs produced column. It's certainly the RBI pace. So Kerry Carpenter can continue to do what you're doing with him. I think I saw last night he was the 25th Tiger to hit 3 home runs in a game, which is a large number. Tigers have been around forever, but that's a large number. But he had a hell of a game there. Kerry Carpenter, go Carpenter. Byron Buxton, speaking about having a hell of a game, had 5 RBIs and stole a base. And I just wanted to mention Buxton because we all know who Byron Buxton is, right? We all know. We know what we're going to get with him. And it's a guy that's going to be in and out of the lineup. Excuse me for 1 second here. He was just returned from the injured list or from missing time with the head injury. He was on the injured list. And it's like, okay. He's played 3 games, and in 3 games since he's come back, he's got 2 steals and 8 RBIs. And what's really interesting is that it's kind of gone underreported, but he's played 44 games. So let's give him triple that, right? Which is he playing 100 and 44 is 88, 120. Is he playing 125 games? No. But if he did, he's on a 30-30 pace. So he's doing everything you can hope for. The question, as always, with Byron Buxton, who's been the leadoff guy for the Twins, how long is he going to stay in the lineup? He's got 37 runs in 44 games. So in the DFS space, in the wagering space, let's fire up Byron Buxton. Seasonal, we got to be concerned because it's obvious. But in the short term, Byron Buxton's doing some real big Thanks. All right, who's up next on my list here? What do we got? I should learn how to read. Luke Weaver. We talked about the Luke Weaver situation again. EIEO and everyone else, if you missed it, talked about the bullpen of the Yankees earlier in the show today. Let's talk some more pitchers. There are a lot of injured pitchers before we talk some football with Armando Marsal here in a few minutes. Good news. Eury Perez is coming back from the elbow surgery. He's going to make one more start today, and that's it. His next start's in the big leagues. This happened kind of quick. He's hit every check. He's checked every box that could possibly have been checked. And so, again, the reports are that his next start is going to come with the Marlins. Now, what does that mean? That means that if Eury Perez is still on the waivers, and he's probably not in most leagues. I think people have already gotten ahead of this, but you can check your waiver wire. Even if you're in a shallow league, you could obviously pick up Eury Perez. The concern with Perez is that, he missed last season. He is the future for this team. He's only 22 years old. They're going to be very cautious with him. We don't know what the exact plan is. They might go to a 6-man rotation. They might skip starts. They might have him throw 3 innings here and there. They might treat him like Garrett Crochet in the second half last year with the White Sox, where they just kept him on, every 5 games he pitched, but it was only 3 innings. We just don't know what they're going to do with Eury Perez. But he's got the ability to dominate opponents, and he will be, most likely, an ace in fantasy baseball. Whether that's this year or not, we don't know. But great news, again, provided tonight goes okay, he'll be up for this next start. Check your waiver wire. We'll start talking about matchups and all that with him moving forward. But the obvious concerns that I just laid out with Eury Perez are there, but the talent is simply immense. A guy that's supposed to be an ace in the fantasy space, and a pitcher that I think I've drafted him once in one single league the last 5 years, like just one single time. And of course, he got hurt the time I drafted him. He got hurt again this year. Tyler Glasnow's got the shoulder injury, and we've talked about him here on the show. Glasnow believes his shoulder is hurt because he's had elbow issues and he's tried to change his mechanics to help his elbow, and now his shoulder is hurt. I haven't seen a definitive explanation of what's going on. There was at one point in time his sore, mechanics. It's just, it's not that his tendon X or tendon Y or ligament X. We haven't got any of that. Maybe that's something that they have internally that they haven't shared, but I have not seen a definitive report on what exactly is going on. What I do know with Tyler Glasnow is earlier this week, he was placed on the 60-day, or maybe it was Sunday. He was placed on the 60-day injured list. Then we had Dave Roberts talking to the media yesterday, and he said that Glasnow's not even throwing bullpens yet. So there was more talk from Roberts saying the same thing, that Glasnow's body's just not responding the way they had hoped. He's throwing on flat ground. He threw a bullpen session last week, and it didn't work. So I have no one has any idea when Tyler Glasnow is going to be back. No idea. He's basically at 0. So when you're basically at 0, when you really start to crank things up, a minimum is like 4 weeks. So a best case scenario has him returning just before the All-Star break. And I don't know if that's reasonable. In fact, I would say it's not at this point. So if you've got Tyler Glasnow, you've been dealing with it this year. You knew who you were drafting. If you didn't know who you were drafting, that's on you. He never throws 120 innings back-to-back years. I don't think he's thrown 90 innings back-to-back years. He just doesn't do it. And it's just another season with this just uncertainty. And at this point, I think the Dodgers and if you have Tyler Glasnow, need to be thinking second half and hope that actually becomes a reality. Kutter Crawford is about to return-ish. Now, he's going to start a rehab assignment this week for the Red Sox. And there's been all the Dobbins and Fitz discussion. Justin and I talked about those two guys last night, by the way, because they both pitched for the Red Sox last night. There's been the debate about, who's going to get the 5th spot in the rotation. Well, when Kutter Crawford returns from his knee injury, he's probably going to go in the rotation. If they want to keep Brian Bayo in the rotation, maybe both Fitz and Dobbins are out. Like the Red Sox will have some decisions to make. But first of all, they got to get everybody healthy. Crawford is a very effective pitcher without being a star. He came into camp and said his knee was kind of, not right. And we haven't seen him pitch. Like this is something that goes back to last year, apparently. And it is June. It is June. We still haven't seen him pitch. So this has taken way longer than we were led to believe when this first started. Given that he's going to begin his rehab assignment this week, just like we were talking about, it's probably four weeks, So it's probably July. Best case scenario for Crawford is back right before the All-Star break. Same thing as Glasnow. Is that reasonable? Is he going to have a setback with his knee? Are things going to go well? I have no idea. It's taken a lot longer than anticipated to get here. So just an FYI, more of a AL only option, really, because he's just not somebody you can consider right now as a significant option out of the rotation, because we just don't know when he's going to be back or what he's going to be able to do, because, again, kind of dire with some of the reports about his knee. But he's giving it a go, and let's hope he can give it a go and make it back out there on the field. Angelo says, I've stashed Shane Bieber. Good idea. Shane Bieber, a couple weeks before the All-Star break, kind of in that zone too. Bieber, let's hope that there's some added velocity, because his velocity did wane before he had the surgery on his arm. He has been one of the better pitchers in baseball, obviously, at times. But yeah, his velocity was down, and the lack of velocity really was impacting his level of performance. Concern with Bieber is that, as we always discuss with guys coming back from elbow surgery, the control and command is usually the last thing that comes back. Bieber needs his control and command to be successful. And in fact, control and command is Bieber's game. So I think, Angelo, he's a good stash. I think it's a smart thing to have him on a roster, especially if you have IL spots and you can just keep him there and just kind of wait things out. But that is something we're going to have to continue to monitor with him when he's going to be activated, and hopefully how well he'll do. The Guardians will certainly welcome him back with open arms. At this point, I mean, we were talking about Luke Weaver earlier with the 4 to 6 weeks for the hamstring injury. At this point, you can't even keep guys healthy for non-arm related things. Like, it's a mess. So a guy like Shane Bieber might be the savior. I mean, who the hell knows, right? Might be some guy at AA no one's talking about right now. Who's going to be this year's Spencer Turnbull, right? Like, it's just a mess, and it's something you have to keep grinding. And as we talked about at the start, and I'll reiterate here, go to fantasyguru.com, click the subscribe tab in the top right corner of the page, get our baseball product, which includes the seasonal, the wagering, and the DFS. All of our baseball coverage for one price. You get it all. Having a lot of success on the wagering front. I think our team with the DFS has done a great job as well. The first of every month, I do update the rankings, as I did again on June 1st. We update the rankings, so it'll happen again July 1st, August 1st, September 1st. So if you're in a seasonal format and you're wondering guy A or B, those get updated the first of every month. And then, of course, you have access to the DFS room, the wagering room, and the seasonal baseball rooms if you sign up for that baseball product. So click that subscribe tab in the top right corner of the page. It is a Tuesday, and on Tuesday, we talk with a gentleman that you might know, because he's always here on Tuesday. You might also know because you listen to his podcast, which you can find over at fantasyguru.com. It's called Mind of Marsal. Click the subscribe tab at the top of the, let me back up. Click the Elite Plus tab at the top of the page at fantasyguru.com, the Elite Plus tab. And that will bring up all the shows in the Elite Plus network. We've got the Race Guru Thunder Hour, Basketball Diaries with Justin Fensterman, One Man's Opinion with Jeff Manns. This show is cataloged, as well as Armando show, Mind of Marsal. And again, he joins us every Tuesday to talk a little bit of football. Don't forget, go to fantasyguru.com. Click that subscribe tab in the top right corner. You can get the seasonal football package. It is live right now. Articles, rankings, all that stuff dropping as we speak. The DFS and the wagering packages are also available. You can get any of the three. You can get 2 of the 3. You can get all 3. If you want to become a VIP member, send a note to support@fantasyguru.com. All right, it's that time. Let's bring in our gentleman, the gentleman that I was just talking about. He's, as always, at the stadium, ready. I guess he's going to interview. Maybe he'll interview someone on the sidelines one of these days. We'll see if we can get Armando to do that. I don't know. But he's Armando Marsal of fantasyguru.com. How you doing, Armando?
I'm doing well, Ray. And yourself?
Good. Is anyone running around? You got a chance of grabbing anyone today for a little interview, possibly? No? Are you still there?
No one around here to grab right now. No. But maybe we could definitely do it sometime next week. Maybe I'll try to arrange it next week.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I appreciate that. Armando Marsal of fantasyguru.com. I was just talking, as you heard, Armando, about the draft guide. It's dropping, all that kind of stuff. Pretty exciting times, right? Like, I saw you're putting out articles, you're linking to this and that. We did the staff predictions, all the rankings are out, all that kind of stuff. Pretty excited about 2025?
I'm pumped, Ray. I'm looking forward to this season. I think it's going to be a good season. I texted Jeff last night. I read his welcome message. I really like the kind of the direction we're going. But man, yeah, it's going to be a fun season. I'm expecting it to be another year of success here at Fantasy Group. We had a lot of, a lot of success last year. So looking forward to it again this year, man.
So we have a little bit of a delay. We'll try to work through that. Hopefully it'll improve. If some of you are wondering why Armando's words don't necessarily match his lips, it happens at times with technology. I'm here. He's there. The host is on another spot. We got a lot of things going on here. So it's always interesting that it even works. It's pretty amazing how all this technology really helps. But Armando, let's talk a little bit about some of the news and notes before we discuss directly one of the articles you just posted over at FG. We're hearing CJ Stroud, who obviously has got a lot to prove after a down season in year 2. We're hearing CJ Stroud's shoulder is no big deal. Then we're hearing he's dealing with a minor injury and he's missing some time and it's probably not a big deal, but it's there. This news story like this, in particular with CJ Stroud, does it cause any kind of concern for you? Do you drop a guy a spot or two in the rankings? Do you have to wait and see? Like, what are your thoughts with CJ Stroud?
Yeah, I think it's too early to make any type of drastic moves in the rankings based on how where we're at right now. It looks like the shoulder issue is not considered serious at this moment. It's obviously something to keep an eye on. It's obviously something to monitor. And then this is one of those things where I always say we're trying to solve a puzzle, right? And this is just one piece of that puzzle here. And if you had some doubts about CJ Stroud going into the season, this is going to be in your favor. If you were optimistic, this is something to keep in the back of your mind moving forward. For me, I think this was, I think this is going to be a bounce back season for CJ Stroud. I like him here a lot. I think when you look at the supporting cast, when you look at what they've done here, they've added some pieces. We've talked about Jaden Higgins quite a bit here. They added Kristian Kirk. They lost Tunsil, but they've also added some other pieces to this offensive line. So, they drafted a running back as well. So they've added more pieces to, support the young quarterback. And I think that he's in line for a bounce back season in 2025. So I'm in on him. He kind of lands in that bottom tier for me of the final quarterbacks that I'm okay with my starting quarterback in a single quarterback league. He's kind of in that range. And I think he has that upside, to be a top 7, top 5 quarterback.
We're going to have Armando Marsal jump out and jump back in here because he's having a little bit of delay. So we'll effort to do that right now. Remember, everybody, go to fantasyguru.com, get signed up right now for the package we have available. You can get the seasonal package. You can get the DFS package. You can get the wagering package. You get all 3 of them. You get 2 of the 3. Click the subscribe tab in the top right corner at fantasyguru.com. You can also send a note to support@fantasyguru.com. Support@fantasyguru.com. The folks will help you there figure out whatever package that works best for you, as well as remembering that the product is full season. So we call it a draft guide, but it's full season long. So you sign up now and you get it all through the regular season. The access to the staff, the access to the articles, the access to live streams, the access to Discord, all that kind of stuff. It's available if you sign up right now at fantasyguru.com. All right, let's bring Armando Marsal back in. Hello again, Armando. How are you?
Good, Ray. Good. Yeah, it looks like it's a little bit better now. So the weather has been very terrible here. Like we've been getting rain for like 48 hours now. So right. I don't know if that has anything to do with it.
Yeah, it's messing. I was starting to look at the DFS article from my Rays plays today, and I wanted to list Drew Rasmussen, and it's like, oh, it's going to rain in Tampa, 95% chance of rain. It's like, so I'm not dealing with it because I'm not living there, Armando. But yeah, but lots of I just rue the day. I can't go through a day without rain impacting a baseball game as I'm trying to write a DFS article up, so that's a little frustrating. But let's talk some football. Let's stay with the Texans. We just talked about CJ Stroud and the fact that you're still a big fan of CJ Stroud. What about Joe Mixon? Joe Mixon's got a lower body injury. To me, who cares? This is just really a gateway to have a discussion about him. It's OTAs, doesn't matter. He was reportedly been in a walking boot, though. Maybe I'm undervaluing this report with the lower body injury. But again, concern at this point about a guy dealing with something. And I think more directly, what does the backfield look like for Houston? I mean, I guess the expectation is that Mixon gets 19 touches a week, right? But what happens if Joe Mixon goes down with an injury?
So I'm not too concerned about this Joe Mixon situation just yet, but I am a little bit concerned. We have to keep in mind he did play through an ankle injury late in the season, in the postseason last year. I don't know if this is the same lingering issue. I don't know if this is something that he's been dealing with since then. I'm not saying that, but it's just something to keep in mind. I will be keeping a close eye on it. I don't know if they want to give Mixon, over 20 opportunities per game once again. Maybe they want to conserve him a little bit. Maybe, and I'm just saying, 17 to 19, 17 to 18, couple, I think that's why they added a running back here. I don't think the Damon Pierce experience, when I mean drafted running back, I mean Woody Marks here. He's someone that I have a lot of interest in, like later in rounds. I do think that he could be a change of pace back for Mixon. I think he can come out of the backfield and catch some passes here. It's just a matter of, can this young man get up to speed with pass protecting? That's always going to be the issue with these kind of running backs. As of right now, I still think Mixon you can make a strong case for, low end RB1, high end RB2 based on volume. If you take that zero running back approach or the modified zero running back approach where you go receiver heavy early in your class, I don't mind anchoring your backfield with someone like Mixon, because the opportunities are going to be there. Even if it's not 20 plus, I do think it's going to be in that 17 to 18 range. I think he's totally fine here. It's obviously something to keep a close eye on. But if you were to handcuff, look, we've already seen the Dameon Pierce experience here. It just didn't look good last year. And this is why I think that they will go, and kind of shift gears and go to the rookie here. So I don't think it's a solidified or a stable handcuff situation, but if I were, it would be Marks.
Marsal, FantasyGuru.com. We keep hearing stories out of Jets camp, land, whatever we want to call it, that Breece Hall's got competition here. None of us really seem. I don't think Breece Hall should be sharing a backfield. Of course, no one touches the ball 25 times a week, so he gets his 19 touches, someone else gets 9, who cares? That's how it works. But we keep hearing stuff and reports. The most recent one, Albert Breer saying, Braylon Allen's going to have a role in this. What's going on here? Like, it seems like Hall is at a good sweet spot in terms of drafting right now. He catches passes. He's involved as a running back. Jets seem to really want to get his backups involved, though. What's your take on it right now?
He had 285 opportunities last season. I am not concerned. I really do not. He's one of my favorite buys at ADP at the position, because I think he's undervalued. I think that, we know the kind of running back that he's capable of being. We know the kind of running back that he can be. We saw it. It was 2023 RB2. All right. Like, he has that kind of potential here. And if he's getting 280 plus opportunities again, like, are we not happy? I'm taking him where he's going. I think there's a strong buy. I have no concerns. I think you can handcuff with Allen. Sure. I think that's a fine handcuff, but to say that this is going to be some kind of committee, I have to see it before I believe it. Like, I just, no report, nothing that the coach says, like, as of right now, that I need to see it to believe it. Like, I think Hall is going to get plenty of opportunities. I mean, last year, where it appeared that Allen, like, I know that there was some frustrations with Allen throughout the season. That was a season that Hall, in 16 games, had 285 opportunities. I'm totally fine with that.
Armando Marsal of FantasyGuru.com. Another backfield scenario. Let's talk about the Jaguars. This is a really interesting scenario. Etienne and Bigsby both had moments last year where they were good. Both had moments where they were in the doghouse. They went out and drafted Tootin. Liam Cohen's in here. There's been a lot of reports that Etienne could have been traded on draft day. Obviously, that didn't happen. Liam Cohen came out and said, look, these reports about us moving on from Etienne are ridiculous. We're not doing that. We love this guy. Now, again, coaches say a bunch of stuff. At the end of the day, for us, I still think that Etienne is at the lead here. But Bigsby, Tootin, what are we doing with this backfield, Armando?
So I do believe that Etienne is going to be the lead backer, and I do believe that he enters the season in the lead back. And it's really going to be his job to lose. We know how well Cohen has done with running backs. So for me, I think there's potential here, but it could be some form of committee where we do see a 60-40, with Bigsby involved. I do think Bigsby will be involved to some capacity. I do think Bigsby did direct handcuff to Etienne, but I think Etienne will have a shot. And when you look at where he's going in drafts, I think there's enough upside there to take that kind of risk. Just understand the kind of investment you're making. It is going to be a volatile one. There is some uncertainty, but entering the season, I do believe that he will be their guy. And by that, I mean, he's going to get at least 55 to 60% of the opportunity. So yeah, he'll be their starter. Do I envision an 80-20, scenario here? Not really. I think at best it'll be a 70-30 favoring Etienne, but I definitely think he's the favorite to be the starting running back in week 1.
The Broncos drafted RJ Harvey, and we over at fantasyguru.com were like, let's go, right? This is going to be the guy. We're getting all the reports that are starting to slowly trickle out of Denver camp that, Harvey's going to catch passes. Here we go. It's a Sean Payton running back. Oh my God. All that's true. But then we get Sean Payton saying, oh yeah, we got this Audric Estime guy and he needs the ball more. And it's like, So I don't think this really impacts RJ Harvey. To me, RJ Harvey is still the guy to own. He's still the guy that's going to catch passes. I think Estime will be involved though, because again, teams don't go 1-for-1 here. That's just not how it works. Are you reading it the same way? That Harvey's the back to own and Estime is the guy who's going to get 8, 9 touches a week, and maybe he's a guy that we see at the goal line?
I'm Team Harvey all the way here. I buy Harvey. I'm drafting Harvey. I think that's the running back you want to be invested in here. I'm not too concerned about that. Like the point where we can start becoming concerned, Ray, is when we start seeing in training camp, one running back fall behind the other. Like if you start seeing that in training camp, if you see, where Harvey's not getting the reps with the first team on a consistent basis, where Harvey's not getting those opportunities, that maybe you could start worrying at that point. But as things stand today, right now, it's Harvey for me, and I think he's going to get plenty of opportunities here.
Armando Marsal at fantasyguru.com. Last year, we saw probably, in my estimation, kind of the end of Alvin Kamara being the guy. He's still going to be the lead back. We don't know who the quarterback's going to be for this team in New Orleans. Kamara's getting older, all that kind of stuff. Kenry Miller was a guy that everyone was like, all right, get Kenry Miller last year as your cuff. And it just never happened. They drafted Devin Neal this year. So now the question becomes, if we're worried about an aging Kamara and his health, are you leaning more toward Kenry Miller or Devin Neal as the handcuff at this moment in time?
I'm still leaning Miller, but it's very close for me at this point. Like I would need to see Neal move ahead of Miller and kind of beat him out here. But I'll be quite honest, this is not a backfield I look to be all that invested in this season. I don't like the direction of this team, this offense right now going into 2025. But it's a battle that you really have to keep an eye on throughout the training camp and the preseason. There's nothing set in stone behind Kamara at this time. You mentioned that Miller has been a failed experiment for them, and they drafted Neal. So it's just how quickly Neal can pick up the playbook, the everything, and then can he beat out Miller? And then I think that in itself will give us a lot of indication of what kind of running back Neal is if he cannot beat out Miller.
I'm on Marsal at fantasyguru.com. We've got John Morton taking over as the OC in Detroit, and we spent a lot of time talking about what that could mean for the offense and all that. We got some surprising news. Frank Ragnow, the center, retired. There were some reports maybe it was contract related. Turns out his body's beat up and he wants to do other things. So that's a huge loss for the Lions in the center of their offensive line. I know you and Ted Schuster do a lot of work with the offensive lines. Are you a little nervous now with this lineup? Tate Ratledge, I guess, is the guy that takes over, but are you a little bit nervous about this offense? Not just because of the change at the OC, but now with the center, Frank Ragnow, being retired?
I think this is a huge loss for the offensive line, and it's obviously a big hole that they're going to have to fill. They did take, like you mentioned, Tate in the second round of this year's draft. That now he's going to probably have to be rushed into into that starting gig there. But it's definitely a blow to the Detroit Lions offensive line. It's a blow to their identity because they're known to be very physical up front, and that's a big key loss here. And obviously, like you mentioned, the coordinators, all the loss there. So there are some key losses, but I still think that this is still a really good team and a really good offensive line. Does it downgrade them? Absolutely, but there's still have a good foundation there. Interesting to see how quick this second rounder is able to pick up and see how quickly he can get and develop here with the rest of the offensive line. But I definitely think there's going to be some bumps on the road for Detroit this season. And, that miraculous run that we saw this last season might not be that easy to go this season. So, it's definitely a loss though, Ray.
We heard earlier from John Morton, the OC, that, Jameson Williams going to have a breakout season. Went for 1,000 yards last year. We're now hearing Dan Campbell, the head coach, say, he's gotten so much stronger. I anticipate Jameson Williams' ADP going up like 20 spots. This is going to start to feed into this, right? And it's like, he's a deep threat. who had 1,000 yards last year. Like, what are we he's not catching 95 passes. He's not going for 1,500 yards. Like, I don't know where this, sky limit here for some people. What are your thoughts on all this? Does this take you out of the Jameson Williams sweepstakes? Or do you think it's going to be too costly? Does this embolden you to draft Jameson Williams because you do think he's going to improve upon his numbers last year? Where are you at with the Lions wide receiver?
So I'm okay with investing in him. If his price gets too inflated, I'm out. I actually think he's better suited for best ball formats as well. Like, I don't know if in a redraft format, I want to rely on on his weekly floor, because he doesn't have one. If you look at his numbers last year, there was a lot of up and down games. He had, I think it was 3 games over 20 fantasy points, and then there was a bunch of games, between that 9 and 11 range in PPR formats there. So for me, like, if you want that kind of volatility, sure. But he's not someone that was on my board and, that I was actively targeting outside of best ball drafts. Like, that's where I'm targeting him, because you don't have to worry about the down weeks for him. You're going to get the peak weeks every single time. And those down weeks, you don't have to worry about it. But in a redraft setting, I tend to gravitate towards players that offer maybe a little bit more of a steady floor on a week-to-week basis with similar upside, maybe not the same ceiling, but with similar upside than I am Jameson Williams. Now, I will say this: if his price starts inflating, I'm out. Like, I don't like to buy into these, these kind of reports that it's his season. Because people start reacting, and you'll see it. Like, the ADP jumps 1 to 2 rounds sometimes. The value hasn't changed. It's just a report. That's what you're doing. The situation, everything else that you knew beforehand hasn't changed. It's just someone saying, this player is gonna blow up. So I try not to feed into that, Ray. So long as it's not inflated too much, I'm still buying. But best ball format for me mainly.
Isaiah Likely was a superstar last year for 1 week, and about 75% of this industry was freaking wrong on him. No one will ever admit it. They'll just act like it didn't happen. But everyone said that it was going to be Likely. He was going to take over. Andrews was old. Get rid of Andrews. Grab Likely. Nope. Didn't happen. Period. John Harbaugh comes out and says, my goal is to make Isaiah Likely an all-pro. Oh, here we go again. Of course his goal is to make him an all-pro. He wants to make all of his players all-pro. So this is coach speak. But this is probably going to start the talk again with Isaiah Likely. What's he going to do? You just recently covered the tight ends over at fantasyguru.com with the Outlook article. Kind of give us your insight onto the situation with the Ravens, particularly about Isaiah Likely. Is any of this hype with Isaiah Likely that we're already starting to see going to come to fruition this year? Are we going to get another year of 9 touchdowns and 72 catches from Mark Andrews?
I think it's going to be a very frustrating situation in Baltimore, especially for those who are on the Likely bandwagon. Look, I think there's potential. And I think he has all the skill sets to be that guy. But Mark Andrews is still in the picture. Mark Andrews is still going to be involved. They played 62 and 60% of snaps last year. So they were both involved, 14% of the target share last year. So they were both involved. We could see a similar role. And I still think you're going to see a big presence in the red zone for Mark Andrews. It's unless Andrews misses any time, I continue to view Likely as a high upside, very low floor play on a week-to-week basis, where his production is right. So long as Mark Andrews is in the picture, is going to be very inconsistent, and it's going to vary from week to week. His role is also going to vary from week to week. It's going to with Mark Andrews there, and we saw it. I mean, we did see it last year. Likely 14% target share. Mark Andrews 15%. They were right there. They were both seeing similar opportunities, but I do think that they're going to favor Andrews in certain situations, especially inside the 20-yard line.
Armando, I mentioned your tight end Outlook article. What is that? Tell the folks what they will be able to view if they join us over at fantasyguru.com.
Yeah, so my tight end outlooks, I posted it yesterday as part of the draft guide there. That's going to go over the top 30 tight ends. I give basically an outlook for each of those tight ends, broken down into different tiers. And just basically go check it out, because my number one tight end is much different than everyone else's going into the season. So check it out and see who I got at number one overall there.
Basically, it's scouting reports, right? So like there's a paragraph kind of on each guy kind of thing, right?
Yeah. It's a little like about paragraph or so about each guy, kind of giving my thoughts on the season and what to expect this year, and kind of looking back at next year, what has changed, what hasn't, and just kind of an outlook for the 2025 season.
Remember, click the Elite Plus tab at the top of the page at fantasyguru.com to find this show as well as Armando's podcast. Armando's been going through the divisions with Tyler Beaker, so check that out. He comes and joins us every Tuesday. We appreciate him battling through some tech issues here today, so we'll let him run here. Armando, thanks for joining us today. Remember, everybody, check out his podcast as well as his articles over at fantasyguru.com, part of that draft guide. Thanks for your time today, Armando, and we'll talk to you again next Tuesday.
Yes, sir. Thanks so much for having me on.
You got it. He's Armando Marsal, our buddy. We have him here every Tuesday at about 12:30 Eastern Standard Time on fantasyguru.com's Fantasy Sports Daily. Okay, a couple of comments here before we shut things down. OSU Buckeyes says, quick thoughts on starting Bybee tonight in a head-to-head seasonal setup. Starting any pitcher at New York is always something that scares you. I think it should. I think that's a fair position to take. I'm not starting Bybee tonight. He had a quality start earlier against the Yankees, actually, this year. When was that? That was back in April. And he's had 15 strikeouts his last 2 starts, but he's also been up and down. There's been home runs that have come into his game at times. He's given up 4 and 5 runs in 2 of his last 3 outings. Just not worth it. I'm not starting him tonight in a head-to-head setup. I'd pass on him. EIEIO says, sorry if I said it. Sorry if I missed you talking about Kasparis of the Dodgers. Ben Kasparis says EIEIO. With all the LA injuries, what are your thoughts? My thoughts on the LA pitching staff is something we talked about. I don't know who's going to be there, when they're going to be there. We talked about Glasnow. We don't know when Snell's coming back. We don't know when Sasaki's coming back. Kasparis is a guy that misses a lot of bats. He's also a guy that walks everybody. That's not the type of pitcher that I really would be excited about. I mean, you look at his walk rates, and he has never in his career, other than 3 outings in the California League, ever had a stop at any level of minor leagues at any season going back to 2021 where his walk rate wasn't at least 11%. League average about 8.5. He just walks too many guys. Gives up a lot of fly balls. He's going to have to be fortunate with the home run to fly ball ratio as a result. A streaming option at best with him. He's not somebody that I'd be looking to add. He only threw 88 innings last year. Year before, he threw 107 innings. I mean, so Kasparis is there because I typed this wrong. You got it. Just someone that's there because they have nobody else. So I wouldn't get too excited about adding him. His next start is actually, let's see. He's next lined up to face St. Louis in St. Louis. And so, streaming option at best. And I think if you're in a 10-team league, which I think you mentioned earlier, EIEIO, streaming option at best. Not really somebody that I'd be looking at. All right, everybody. So there's the show. We appreciate you listening today. Coming on, Armando Marsal, we appreciate him. Sorry about the tech issues, but he battled through it. Hopefully that you're still able to get his great information on the visit. As you can see there on the screen, and as we've discussed, go to fantasyguru.com, click that subscribe tab in the top right corner, get signed up for the football package. We'll help you out. Seasonal DFS wagering, got it all. Armando's part of the crew that does the live streams on Tuesday nights. That's every Tuesday at 7 a.m. Eastern or 7 p.m. The live stream over at fantasyguru.com. You get access to that, obviously, if you're signed up for the product with us at FG. This show is 12 o'clock Monday through Friday. It's the free show, the gateway drug, if you will, to fantasyguru.com from 3 to 6 Eastern, Monday through Friday. Jeff Mann's got the Elite Sports Show. Justin Fensterman and I from 8 to 10 Eastern on SiriusXM have the Elite Sports Game Time Show, where we spend most of the show talking baseball. So if you need some baseball fix, check us out 8 to 10 Eastern on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio. So Justin will be here tomorrow. I'll be with Jeff Mans tomorrow and with Justin tomorrow on SiriusXM for the 2 shows. I'll be back with you all here Thursday to talk things over with Tyler Beaker, and we'll visit with him, talk some football, and then Russell Clay on Friday, talking some football with him. For Armando Marsal, I am Ray Flowers. Head over to fantasyguru.com, click that subscribe tab, and let us help you have success and dominance and some fun in 2025. We'll see you again tomorrow. Fantasy Sports Daily, powered by fantasyguru.com.